Good evening and welcome to the revamped and slightly sexier Question Time. Tonight on the show we have Garstang Plonker, Minister for Smug Smirks and Stupid Haircuts. Glenda Toughbitch, opposition spokeswoman on, well, frankly, who gives a monkey's what she's spokeswoman on, since her lot haven't had a sniff of power in 15 years. Gavin Smallpiece, a Liberal Democrat who'll talk about absolutely anything, anytime, anywhere, just as long as he gets on the telly, and will provide his own suit. And finally, some complete nobody we stick on in a pathetic attempt to pretend that this programme is about real debate and not just a weekly platform for political hacks to trot out the party line. And so, to the first question.
Well, of course, we sympathise, but the fact is, if you look at the seasonally adjusted figures, you'll find that most people are, in fact, earning 15% above the previous figures as accepted by all independent analysts, when adjusted to include adjustable factors.
Oh, come on, Garstang. This country needs a government that will dare to be fair, to care and to share.
And so, again, we see two tired and discredited parties being tired and discredited.
If I could just stop the panel there, I feel we ought to point out at this point we haven't actually had the first question yet.
Yes, sorry.
Miss Shipley from Stanmore.
Yes. I'm concerned about unemployment, health and a future for our kids. I mean, what does the panel think?
Minister.
Well, of course, we sympathise, but the fact is, if you look at the seasonally adjusted figures, you'll find that most people, in fact, have been earning 15% above the previous seasonal figures accepted by all independent analysts, when adjusted to include all adjustable factors.
Oh, come on, Garstang. This country needs a government that will dare to be fair, to care and to share.
So, again, we see two tired and discredited parties being tired and discredited.
Well, actually,
That's about all we've got time for this week. We'll be back with another irritating and pointless load of twaddle designed to make me look good next week. Good night. And welcome to another in the series, The Man From Auntie. You join us in a week when there has been much discussion about lowering the age of consent for homosexual sex. Now, a number of Tory MPs are against this, one reason being that they think making it legal would take all the fun out of it. Another argument is they don't wish to encourage homosexuality in the young and impressionable, except as a treat when their wives are away. Close to the wind. It's an absurd notion. You can't create someone's sexuality. You're born with your sexuality. I remember very clearly seeing Lulu in her hot pants giving it boom, bang, a bang on Eurovision in the late 60s. Now, I've no idea what it was that made me run straight upstairs for a sly naughty off the wrist, but it certainly wasn't any government legislation. I don't remember the law that said I had to nick my first Mayfair, but I can still remember the pictures, that's for sure. Now, I've been thinking about the series. We're on the fourth show now, and some of the comments I've been making over the last few weeks, and indeed over the years, have suggested some kind of grand conspiracy theory, almost as if I'm looking for someone to blame. I've talked about Captain Paranoia, the Invisible Bastard, the Ministry of Crap Design, but conspiracy theories can be a bit naive, can't they? I mean, maybe it's just the whinging student lefty in me talking. Not that there is a whinging student lefty in me as I speak. Oh dear. Even after the 9 o'clock watershed, maybe. Close one, that. But anyway, I think you know what I'm saying. Maybe it's fate. It's not conspiracy. Maybe it's fate that rules our lives. I mean, we've got this thing in Britain, haven't we? We call it a sod's law. What can go wrong will go wrong. And that's the way we like it, because it kind of negates any responsibility on our part, doesn't it? We go, oh, well, railways closing down, sod's law, eh? John Major still Prime Minister, sod's law, mustn't play it. Noel's House Party gets a third series, sod's law. I had a brush with sod's law the other day, and I'd like to tell you about it, and then we'll see if fate or conspiracy rules our lives. Now, I live in a flat in London, on the ground floor. And the door of my flat opens out into the communal hallway, off which leads the staircase to the other flats. And at the other end of the hall is the front door of the house, which leads out into the street. Now, in the middle of the hallway, we have a little table. And the first person down in the morning picks up the post, sorts out their own, and sticks the rest on the little table. And every morning, I, who am never the first down, right, I open the door of my flat and I creep out into the hall to check if there's any post on the table for me. And every time I do that, I think to myself, sod's law, I must take my keys with me when I do this, because otherwise, one of these days, that door is going to slam behind me and I'm going to be trapped in the hall, OK? So, you've got the idea, you've got the scenario. Let me tell you how it happened. Right, so, the other day, I'm in bed and I'm asleep, and I hear the doorbell ring. Someone is at the front door ringing it. So, I jump out of bed and I'm in the nude. No, I sleep naked, yes. Sans gym jam. Yeah, I think men should sleep in the nude. I think it's an important social political point, because let's face it, they cannot be trusted with the 3 a.m. wee-wee. No, they can't. When the little willy does its famous impression of a cup-avoiding spout on a service station teapot. There's the knob, there's the bowl. It seems like a simple enough equation to connect the two, but no, you start to wee and it's bouncing off the basin, isn't it? It's dribbling down the walls, and it's astonishing how slow a man's reactions are when he's spraying the floor at 3 in the morning. I mean, normally your synapses that transmit the messages round the body, they serve a bloke pretty well, don't they? I mean, he burns his hand on a cooker, he goes, ow! But at 3 in the morning, everything is in slow motion. The message crawls up the body. Are you weeing on the floor? You're weeing on the floor? You're weeing on the floor? The brain ponders it for a moment, finally casually sends the vaguest of instructions back. Oh, well, better stop then, I suppose. Finally, you drag things to a halt by desperately clenching your buttocks together. When there was only a couple of drops left anyway. How did this happen? You're standing there up to your ankles singing, how did it happen? You glance down, there's a couple of rogue hairs caught in the end of it, dragging it round in a sort of U-bend. Or else they're all matted over the end. It's like weeing through a sieve, isn't it? Well, it's an important socio-political observation, actually, not just a rude gag, no. Because never mind women waxing their bikini lines, it's men that ought to wax their crutches. It's us that get it all caught up in ourselves and we have to fish it out at bus stops, don't we? Go, I'm sorry, darling, I'm going to have to dig it out. My scrotum's wrapped around my pocket. My gonads are in danger of getting scalped here. I'm sorry, but wee-wee is a feminist issue. Yes, it affects us all. Any woman who lives with a man knows all about the 3 a.m. wee-wee, because she has the 3:30 a.m. wee-wee. Oh, yeah? He's come back from his... He's all cold, yeah. He snuggles up for a cuddle, yeah. And she thinks, the bugger's woke me up. I'm going to have to go for one now, aren't I? You know that feeling? You know that feeling, girls, when you're going to the loo in the middle of the night, right? And you're trying to pretend to yourself that you haven't woken up. You're thinking, I am not awake. This is not happening. I'm still asleep. It's not happening. I have not woken up. Well, you soon wake up when you wade into the piss puddle, don't you? Why don't you mop it up? As I say, a wee-wee is a feminist issue. Of course it is. Any woman who has ever been to a theatre or a club knows that. There are never enough toilets for the girls. Never. They always have to queue. Now, the reason for this clear bit of architectural sexism is that women are deemed, by nature of their plumbing, to require a whole cubicle to themselves, which, of course, takes up more room. Now, one might have thought that over the years, the penny would have dropped, so to speak, and they might have started putting bigger toilets in for the girls. But no, the architect, who is obviously a bloke, said, nah, forget it, get in a queue. No knob. Yeah, if you want a wee quick, then grow a willy like me and my mate. Of course, most theatres were designed in Victorian times, you know, when women used to wear those big dresses, which we think look very silly, but they weren't silly at all. Those girls used to have a bucket slung between their legs. Now, the raison d'etre behind this astonishing piece of architectural sexism is, as I say, that women are not deemed capable of doing it straight. No, they've got a sprinkler system down here, and hence they have to have a whole cubicle to themselves so they can get sucked down properly and it's all in there. Whereas men, we're brilliant, we are, yes, we are, with our dead-eyed dicks, oh, sharp. We're picking the hairs off, aren't we, yeah? We're chasing the fag end up towards the drain. Well, this is, of course, nonsense. Men don't wee any better than women do. You go in your average gents, the place is awash. It's like the men men have stood in the cubicle and sprayed outwards. Well, I think that's what women ought to do, yes. Non-violence, direct action. It's the only way to change things. If you're stuck in a queue for a cubicle, girls, do what the lads do. Use the floor. Yes. Don't just stand there moaning, hoik back the gusset and give it a sprinkle. Yes. They'd soon put a few more cubicles in for all the girls did that, eh? Good evening. Tonight on Consumer Watch, we look at what is becoming an increasingly alarming social trend. Male model disease. Bob, Rick and Phil, you've been male models for some years now, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And would I be right in saying that none of you can now assume a natural position, is that right?
Yes.
I spoke to Jonathan, who insisted on remaining anonymous because he is just too ashamed of the chunky cardigans with leather sleeves and the casual slacks that he still feels compelled to wear. Jonathan, how does male model disease manifest itself?
Well, when you're out with your mates, you can't look at them. You all have to look away.
Have a pint. I'll just have a tonic water, please.
It's difficult going out with girls. You don't so much go out with them as around them.
A tragic story. So, next time you pull on a pair of casual slacks or sports shirt and Pringle, just remember the trail of degraded human beings that's been left behind. We'll be back after this. Anyway, as I say, on a purely practical level, I mean, sexual politics aside, men should sleep naked because, you know, they never know where they're aiming. And let's face it, it's a lot easier to wash your leg than your pyjamas. Some lads thinking, wash them, Ben, just hang them on the radiator, they'll soon dry. 5 minutes, make a cup of tea, lovely and warm, snuggle up to that, my boy. Of course, I didn't always sleep in the nude. No. At one time, I had a nightie. Yeah. No, it's true. My girlfriend bought it me because I was jealous of hers. It's true. Well, they're cosy, aren't they? I mean, nighties are cosy. It was made out of that, you know, that sort of furry cotton. They make those cheap sheets out of, you know, the ones with pastel-coloured stripes on them, you know, pink and yellow and green. And they're cheap sheets, but if you wash them, they turn into expensive handkerchiefs. You know that? Well, it was a night. It was made out of that material. And it was all cosy. It was warm and ankle-length, and I loved it. It was great. I mean, you curl up with your cocoa in front of the fire. It was all Dickensian, you know. My girlfriend used to say, "Oh, wee Willy Winky," and she liked the nightie too, you know. Is there no sentence into which I cannot squeeze a gratuitous knob gag? No, there is not. It's a skill of which I am very proud. Anyway, I loved that nightie. I did, but as long as I wasn't in bed. Because nighties are very nasty things. They have an attitude and an intense dislike of people. Because whilst they're all cosy and nice whilst you're out on the bed, curled up in front of the fire, wee willy winky, etc., they're just waiting to pounce because they've got these highly malignant hems. And on your way to bed, oh yes, they're beginning to twitch, you see. At the moment, it's all the way down to your ankles, the nightie. Oh, it's all the way down. But you're going to bed, you're just about to get into bed, it's all the way down to your ankles, you get into bed, you're in bed, you gently put the duvet down on top of you, and suddenly the entire nightie lifts the whole length of your body, and suddenly there's a 6-inch thick ring of furry cotton wedged under your arms. Your nipples are overheated. It's like going to bed in a life belt. She says, "Go on, give us a cuddle," and I say, "I can't. I've been captured by that nightie you bought me." I'll tell you what to do. I'll tell you what you have to do, girls. A little nightie tip here, right? What you have to do, and get any guys who wear one, what you have to do is you have to put... Oh, dodgy stuff. You have to put a bit of Velcro on your ankles. That's what you have to do. And then it's sorted.
Okay, we're back. Now, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I do, Umpa. I just wanted to say that if we all tried to love each other just a little bit more, then there would be a little bit more love in the world.
Did God tell you to say that?
Yes, he did, Umpa.
That's right, he did. The last time I was talking to God, he told me that he was going to tell you to say that. Okay. about the big problem of people feeling inadequate and dysfunctional because they're healthy and well-adjusted. You have something you want to say.
Yes, I do, Umpa. I don't know one single person on my block who does not have serious emotional challenges. Most of them have, in fact, appeared on your show. My mother maliciously gave me a healthy, well-adjusted upbringing, and I have nothing to whine about.
Ruth, you're Doreen's mother. Do you feel her hurt? I mean, are you sorry for her? She's reaching out to you here. She's putting out love and keeping it. I only did what any mother would have done.
Oh, come on, Mom. Other moms took drugs. Other moms ran away with other men, had sex in the same room as the kids were sleeping in. You didn't do anything. Nothing. I am a dull, stupid, boring person, and you've left me with nothing to blame it on.
We'll be back after this.
Where were we? Lost my thread now. Hate it when this happens. Because I'm quite professional. I take my job seriously. I mean, my mind never wanders at work, but it quite often just buggers off to the pub. It's gone. Anyway, oh yeah, it was the nightie. I was sleeping in the nude. Actually, there was a time... No, to continue with the digression for a moment, there was a time when I not only didn't sleep in the nude, I slept in everything I had. It was when I was a student. And I was cold. And I wore everything I had. Not just clothes, no, everything. Books, essays, bits of carpet, everything. In my first year, I lived in this house full of bedsits. Everyone wore everything they owned. It was like a community of Michelin people. Everyone waddling around the house, getting stuck in doorways. I was in that house for 9 months. I never knew the sex of anyone else who lived there. I studied in Manchester. I was there for 3 years. And it was winter all the time. I've never worked out how I did that. It was like living in Narnia, in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I was cold. And that's the only time in my life I knew what it was like to be really cold the whole time. And when you're cold, you can't do anything. That's all you can think about. I mean, surely that has to be the most insidious aspect of this business of VAT on domestic fuel. Because there's a hidden agenda, I'm sure of it. It's not just a question of wringing the last few bob out of those who could least afford it. No, what they're trying to do is disenfranchise the poor. It's true, they want to stop their victims from voting. Because after a couple of years of VAT on fuel, they'll call a snap election in January, and everyone will say, I'm not going out to vote in this weather, I'm going to call again. It's true. Now, when you're cold, your body acts against you. Like, when you're really cold, your whole body's against... It's like, you know if you're really cold, your nipples go all hard and big. It's not just me, is it? No, it's not. Everyone, no, your nipples, when you're cold, they go all hard in the cold. In Manchester, they hang their coats on them, yes? Open tins of paint, yes. Yeah, you'll never drive that rivet through like that, lad. Get their nipple on it. Ah, yeah. Your nipples grow in the cold. And if you're a bloke, right, in the cold, your dick shrinks. I mean, what's all that about? Couldn't it have been the other way round? Open the window, love. Let's get some air in here. But no, your nipples grow and your wing shrinks. Well, that was me. For 3 years. For 3 years, my nipples were bigger than my knob. Imagine what that does to a lad. I mean, the male body just cannot handle the cold. I've never known why it's blokes who tend to go walking across the Antarctic, stuff like that. I mean, women's bodies are much better with the cold. A bloke's gonads, for instance, retreat. Inside the body, they're thinking, oh, I'm not hanging around in this weather. I'm off up inside the body cavity. I mean, Ranulph Fiennes' balls must be hiding behind his ears, I remember mine were under my arms by the time I finished at uni. I couldn't write my final essay for fear of crushing a body. Well, that was my excuse, anyway. You could get away with anything in those days, of course you could.
If your lot are anything like the Home Secretary suggests, then your daughter is probably a nasty, immoral little slag who's had 18 illegitimate children in order to get a whole street of council houses all to herself.
But luckily, the government's put a stop to sly little sluts like me.
So we're all living with Mum.
At least I've got stock cubes to cover up the smell of nappies.
Stock cubes for when your daughter's being made a scapegoat for the chronic housing shortage.
Now, remaining on the subject of students, I think it's actually a shame. They're getting quite a hard time at the moment. And not just from the incredible, government cuts in education, but there's a kind of comic presumption from us, from the comedians. It's grown up the students are all rolling in money and they're all tossers, Well, my memory is the students were poor, And they get, they get a lot less now than we did. And it's about being poor. It's eking things out. That's my main memory of student days. Eking everything out. What are you going to do today? Oh, thought I'd do a bit of eking. Want to come round my place and eke something out? Yeah, all right, yeah. I was there 3 years. I never saw a ketchup bottle the right way up. I used to sit there watching the ketchup slide down the inside of the bottle until I'd collected a capful so I could dip a chip in it. I used to spend my evenings collecting little bits of blue tack from behind the corners of one poster so that I could stick up another poster. There's only a finite number of times you can do that. I used to walk across the room and all my posters would waft down at me. The Clash would bow at me. The Jam would bow at me. That woman playing tennis with no knickers scratching her bum would do a back flip at me. Endless eking. And isn't it amazing how when you live on your own, as I did when I was a student, it's easy for your standards to drop, isn't it? You live on your own, you think, oh, the sheets, have they done 3 weeks or 4? Well, they haven't been 5, so I'll let them go for a while. I mean, I still have to live on my own sometimes. My girlfriend's away a lot. And although I don't have to eke things out anymore, I mean, it's still really easy to be scummy, isn't it? Like when you're a student. I never cook for myself. I still don't. My mum says, why don't you make yourself a nice meal, Benji? I say, oh, yeah, sure, Mum. On my own, going to do a spag bowl for 1. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. What would I look like cutting up 1 tomato? Sure. No. No, I live off Findus. I do. Frozen foods. I live off Findus like I always did. And there's so many varieties. And they all taste the same. And one of the slightly less pleasant aspects of celebrity is the fact that nobody... I'll tell you, I'll share this with you, a little bit of the little truth, you see. Nobody believes you do anything normal if you've been on the telly, like eat Findus. Once you've been on the telly, the minute you've done that, even if it's only for a couple of seconds reading the weather, people instantly assume that you'll dine off caviar out of chorus girls' bottoms, immediately. So when I go down the shop, as I do many a week, I go down, get me Findus, big pile of Findus. I can see them watching me as I go up to the counter. I can see him waiting the pounds. I go, 6 boxes of Findus, please. I go, oh, haven't you been? I say, yes, I've been on a flipping telly. Now give me my Findus. And I can go out of the shop. I can hear him going, well, I thought we'd be eating caviar out of a chorus girl's bottom. I don't know. I eat Findus. Meals for 1. Lonely bastard range.
I'm a lonely bastard. I expect bugger all from life, and that's exactly what I get. I do a dull job, and every evening I spend comatose in front of the telly. It takes no thought, effort or creativity on my part. I can eat it straight out of the foil tray, and it leaves plenty of room for 3 walnut whips and 7 cans of beer.
Made specially for you, because you're sad.
I have been that sad act, eating my meal for 1. Except you don't have the meal for 1, do you? No, you have to have the meal for 2. Why do you have the meal for 2? So it's big enough so you can find it in the oven again when it's cooked. Findus and Birdseye know that, and all the other frozen food companies know, that the meal for 1 actually means a 1 anorexic gerbil. They just call the meal for 1 a meal for 2, so you don't look like such a sad act when you're buying it down the shop. I mean, who's going to buy a lasagna for 1? Come on. What would you look like? Lasagna for 1, please. I mean, you might as well have I've got no friends written across your forehead. No. You buy lasagna for 2, don't you? Yeah, down the shop. Lasagna for 2, please, mate. Know what I mean, eh? Some of that, eh? Some of that, my son. Lasagna for 2, voila. Know what I mean? It fools no one. He says, oh, yeah, Ben. Gonna be sharing this with some gorgeous bird, eh? This 6-inch square wedgette of Italian-style shite. Basis of a romantic evening for 2, is it, yeah? I notice you've only got a 1 fruitini. telling you all this. I'm making myself look sad. I want to look sexy and dominant. I should be. I was telling you a story. Get on with a story. That's right. Okay, I was telling you about my brush with Sod's Law. That's right. That's right. Before the digressions, I was running across the flat, wasn't I, in the nude? That's right. Because the doorbell's ringing. So I'm running across the flat in the nude. Well, I've done the mime. I've done drama, so I'll do the mime for you. I'm running across the flat in the nude. Oh, well, you know it's not that big. I'm only being silly. I'm running across the flat in the nude. Oh, I'm just being silly. I'm running across the flat in the nude. 3 willy gags. He's been educated. I think it's pathetic why he feels the need. Anyway, so I pick up the intercom thing that I got on the door, and I can hear his plate. It goes, "Hello, it's Posty." Oh, God, gobbed on the floor manager. I'm sorry. Oh, well, it proves it's really happening, doesn't it? Live in Gobberama. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Adam. I hate doing that. It sometimes happens on stage. I'll explain this to the bunch. It does. And, you know, you're on stage, you're doing a routine, and this great big grolly just charges at you. And there's some people think that a comic reckons he's hard, you know, oh, yeah, he can gob on the audience and all that. I don't. I was well brought up, and I apologise. I don't like spitting on people. I hate it. You feel... Seriously, I'll tell you what you feel like. You feel like... You know, if you're at a party and you're talking to someone, like maybe someone you fancy, and halfway through the conversation, your tonsils just decide to lob this great lump of green across the canapes. You know, you can see it hanging on their lapel. You're wondering whether you should say anything. You know, someone comes, "Oh, look, lovely brooch." Oh, dear. Anyway, I'm sorry, man. Anyway, we've sorted it out. There's a bit of live moment for you there. So, anyway, the bloke says, "Hello, it's Posty." See the whites of your eyes. He says, "I've got a great big packet here. Can you let me in? Because I've got a great big packet here and it's too big to squeeze into your slit." Obvious. He says, "Can you let me in? I'll stick it on that table you've got in the hall." You remember the table? Anyway, so I think for a minute, well, maybe he's a murderer, but I better risk it. So I let him in. And in he comes and... he sticks a parcel on the table, he's off out the story, right? And there's a parcel on the table, and I peek out of my door. I peek out, and there's a parcel. I mean, a parcel. Can you imagine my excitement? There's only 6 flats in my house. That means I've got a 1 in 6 chance that parcel is for me. When did you last have such decent odds on a parcel? Not since you were a kid, and you still got prezzies on your birthday. Not like now when you get a few poxy cards from your family and the blokes at work might just about buy you a drink. But I've got a chance at a real parcel, and I want to go out and see who it's for, but I'm in the nude. How long would it take me to put a pair of trousers on? I mean, a minute, 30 seconds, but I don't do it. I'm too stupid. I'm too excited. I think I'll just risk it. I'll push my door away and I'll just creep out into the hallway in the bloody nude. And I grab the parcel, and it's for me. Can you believe the excitement? It's for me, a bloody parcel, and it's for me. I'm jumping up and down and banging from thigh to thigh. And that's when I became aware of my predicament. I'm in the hall, in the bloody nude. The door's out there, there's the street, so I turn round, and the door of my flat is still open, and I get back inside. But if it had slammed behind me, it would have been a brilliant story. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Elton. Good night.
Jonathan Ross in conversation with one of Hollywood's coolest cookies in an hour's time on BBC One, Johnny Depp.